Most people think that being a school bus driver is pretty simple. Just drive the route, pick up the kids, drop them off, and then go home. But if you're even a minute off schedule, especially on a special needs route, everything can start to unravel pretty fast. One of the things she told me was how surprised she was how easy parts of the job felt. But at the same time, how quickly things can go sideways if you're not paying attention. And most days, it's pretty simple until it's not. At its core, this job is pretty straightforward. You're responsible for getting kids safely from their homes to school and then back again. But the way it works on special needs route is a little different than most people might picture. You're not pulling up to a corner with a group of kids waiting to get on the bus. You're going house to house. Oftentimes, it's just one student per stop. Some of them need extra support because of medical conditions. Some have really big personalities and are very sensitive to timing and routine. So you're not just driving. You're part of their day in a very real way. And you're doing all of that on your own. There's no one in the bus watching, looking over your shoulder, or even monitoring the kids. Once you leave the yard, it's up to you, and it's only you, the bus route, and your special little people. A normal day starts pretty early, but not like crazy early. Molly gets to the bus yard around 6:30 in the morning. She starts her bus. She lets it warm up and then does her pre-trip inspection. She checks everything like tires, fluids, and making sure everything's working the way it needs to be. Then she heads out for her first run. She has 3 schools, 1 middle school and 2 elementary schools. The middle school run is small, around 5 students. Then she loops back to the elementary school, picking up a few kids at each stop. And again, these aren't bus stops. She's pulling up to each house, picking up the kids, and then dropping them off in the same way in the afternoon. But around 9:45, she's done with the morning. And then she leaves. That's one of the parts people don't expect. You've got a big break in the middle of the day. Molly comes back around 1:30, runs the afternoon routes, and then usually is done somewhere between 4 and 4:30. Sometimes there are field trips or sports runs, which can extend the day a bit, but that's all for pay, and it's not every day. So the rhythm ends up being pretty consistent. A morning run, break, and then an afternoon run. The job itself isn't terribly complicated, but the responsibility is significant. One of the biggest things that sticks with Molly is how much timing actually matters. If she's even 1 minute late, one of her students with autism notices immediately. It throws them off and stresses them out for the day. And then you've got everything else happening around you, like traffic, people on their cell phones, we've all seen it, drivers cutting off a school bus. She said that being up that high in a bus too, you can see everything. And it's not always good stuff that's going on in cars. There are also moments where things just go wrong. She told me about one day where she missed a pickup because she thought the student was at their father's house. That one mistake stuck with her all day because that child thought that she'd forgotten all about him and was really upset about it. And from that point on, everything else in the day just kind of snowballed. She ended up hitting a curb, almost running out of gas, and just one of those days where nothing seemed to line up. And then there's the environment. She said that snow days are particularly rough. Those are tight roads, and there's snow piled up on both sides. People trying to squeeze past and getting frustrated and honking and even practicing sign language directed right at her. And the thing is, she explained that you can't just back up or maneuver however you want. If you get stuck or if you get in a position where you have to back up, you have to actually call for help and wait for them to arrive. I suspect that that particular rule was probably written in blood. It's an extreme rule, and they usually are. There's also the underlying responsibility. You've got kids on the bus and their safety is on you. And there are certain things you just can't mess up, like leaving a child on a bus. That's one of them for sure. That's not a learn from it moment either. That's a serious mistake. Getting into this job isn't particularly complicated, but it's not terribly challenging either. You do need a CDL, a commercial driver's license, and that means passing multiple tests. There's a general knowledge, a passenger school bus test, and air brakes test. She said that the air brakes test alone is no joke. You miss one thing and you fail. You say one word wrong and you fail. However, once you pass that, you train for about a month driving with someone else, learning the routes and getting comfortable with the bus. And then they pretty much turn you loose. Pay-wise, she said she starts around $27 an hour with scheduled raises every 6 months, which is really good. The downside is it's just part-time. You're working around 6.5 to 7 hours a day, and it's split between morning and afternoon. But on the flip side of that is the schedule. You've got a big break in the middle of the day to go handle all of your personal things. And the mornings and afternoons are very predictable. This job fits a certain kind of person. The one thing you definitely need is patience. That's probably hands down the biggest one. Working with special needs kids and dealing with traffic and snow and weather conditions, you're going to need a lot of it. If you're someone who gets frustrated easily, reacts quickly, or needs constant change to stay engaged, this is probably going to wear on you quite a bit. But if you're steady, if you like routine and you're okay working independently, this can really be a good fit. You don't have anyone breathing down your neck, and you do your job and you go home. Sometimes with little crafts or nice little notes from the kids. It's nice. And those are just some of the parts of the job that she didn't expect. She talked about how much she enjoys the kids, being part of their routine, having kids that depend on her, and knowing that she's the first person they see in the morning. That part matters more than you might think. When you look at it through the career day system, there's a pretty clear pattern here. You've got structured routine, a predictable schedule, and a clear expectation. But at the same time, you're working independently and making small adjustments throughout the day as things change. That combination usually shows up as STINST, structured, independent, steady. For the right person, someone who's patient and consistent and comfortable working on their own, this can be a really solid job. But if you need variety, constant interaction, or a fast pace, this probably isn't going to hold your attention for too long. And that's what it's like to be a school bus driver. Thank you.